Hi, today's good person to know is Arian Lewis. He's Strategic Partnership Director at Barclays. Arian says that 30% of all UK wealth is made from self-made millionaires and that the other 70% is made by wealthy individuals and families of well-established businesses. But that this is all going to change in 20 years' time when there's going to be a complete shift and that 70% is going to be self-made. And if I'm still around in 20 years' time, I really hope I'm part of the 70% club. Arian says that corporates haven't cottoned on to the fact that entrepreneurs are most likely to be 35 plus who have already worked in a corporate environment and now have set up a business to help improve the current product or service on the market. So corporates have to change their view as to how they see startups because they're not able to innovate as quickly and readily as SMEs are, and they really need to partner with them. So how do you contact a corporate? Well, once you've made contact, you have to be prepared and ask them a list of questions to find out if they are a good fit for you. Make sure you're speaking to the right person and leave an information pack so they can mull over it after the meeting. Define the scope and come up with a solution as to how it's going to work. Don't expect the corporate to know this. Think about the execution. It's all very well having an idea, but how are you actually going to implement it? Provide a risk analysis, and timing is so important. It's crucial. In fact, that could be the winner of it all. This video is particularly relevant to the more established business that's looking to partner up with a corporate organisation. So I hope you enjoy this video and thank you for watching.
Only 30% of the wealth in the UK is controlled by people or generated by individuals who are self-made. Within the next 2 decades, we predict that 70% of the wealth will come from self-made sources. So startups, entrepreneurs are going to create businesses that are going to accumulate a great deal of wealth. Currently, a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what a startup and an entrepreneur is. We view this as a barrier to helping things move forward and grow. A lot of people in large corporates who don't have a lot of interaction with this group in market don't understand that startups are people that are oftentimes coming out of a corporate job or may have had another significant position and decided, hey, I understand this market, I'm going to go and create my own business in the market. Within big corporates, it's helping big corporates understand that we need to look a little differently at the way that we view startups. We recognize that as a bank, we can't innovate ourselves into the future. We have to partner with and collaborate with startups and entrepreneurs that have a good vision of what's going to transpire in the next decade. I've seen a statistic around 30% of startups are currently pursuing alternative financing, and within the next 12 months it's going to be closer to 40 to 42%. We believe that finding better alternative ways to lend or to invest are going to be critical to our business. The market currently has metrics that they base those decisions on that were created really in the 1970s and 1980s that look purely at sort of return on investment over time or other metrics that are sort of the industry standard. And as we look at some of the changes that are going to be required in the ecosystem, it's going to be looking at what are the other types of metrics that we should really base the decision making and the flow of capital. We're very serious about open innovation, and it's a really important part of our strategy going forward. And I think a lot of corporates are beginning to explore and adopt and engage with this type of strategy. Richard Phelps is actually part of our wealth bank, and we're looking at how we can involve the clients that work with us in wealth. They're looking for opportunities as well in terms of getting involved in the startup ecosystem. So we're trying to leverage our convening power as a bank and bring together parties from different angles, different parts of the ecosystem to support the growth of startups. So the question is, how do you approach a large corporate? Many of you come from a corporate background, so you obviously know how to approach corporates that were in your industry. These are some general takeaways that I think are important. A lot of times a startup will come to us and they'll pitch their idea the same way they would to maybe an investor audience. They'll essentially know that we're a financial institution, but rather than using sort of the first 30 minutes of the meeting to really understand what's going on in our organization, whether or not they're talking to the right person, which is one of the most critical things that you come up against is finding the actual decision maker and getting to that individual. The first thing you should do is go through a list of questions whenever you meet with a corporate to really understand, A, whether or not they're going to be a good fit for you, and B, whether or not you're speaking to the right person. And then defining the scope. The challenge simply is that you go away from that meeting and you basically have to come up with the solution of how they can work within the company. What was really helpful is when a small company comes to us and says, this is how we propose we work, this would be the pilot, this is the cost of the pilot, this is the time frame that it would take to do the pilot, this is how quickly we believe it can scale. So a lot of the time is typically spent on the idea and selling the idea rather than the execution. And I would suggest that if you have a chance to meet with a corporate and pitch your product, that you spend a good portion of time on how it's going to be executed, because in the back of the person's mind who's meeting with you, they're thinking, great idea, but how do I actually make this work? So providing the material up front, saying, I know whoever I'm meeting with, unless you're meeting with the CEO of the company perhaps, you're probably going to need to go to another level to get the approvals. Here's the pack of information. Here's what would be required, so that it's in their inbox right when you finish your presentation, and they can flick that on to whoever they believe is going to be the right person. Providing a risk analysis. This is something that isn't inherent. I came from a startup named Tech Capital. I approached large corporates daily. That was my job. And I never really provided a risk analysis. Now, as a bank, that's something that we do. Maybe for other big corporates, it's not something important, but I would suggest that you create a risk analysis. When you're looking at how you match yourself with the right corporate, you really want to think about the length of time it's going to take them to make their decision. The reality is that decision making in big corporates takes a long time, so you just want to be really smart about how much time you're going to dedicate to something and how much time you're really going to anticipate the execution taking with a large corporate.